not gonna say that plan's in gold, but that's what our plan is. And talking with the auditors and stuff, they like the idea of that, keeping that separate for 24 and 25 until we actually set the fund up in 26 as ours and stuff, just in case something happens and stuff. So that's exactly how we're doing it now. But as far as funding it for right now, the ARPA money is what we use to start it with, and then it will have to be subsidized by either sales tax or general fund until we get into probably 6-7 months into 26 to see what the AR is going to start bringing in on that, and hopefully it'll be self-sustaining. That's our hope.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Or
So what are you asking from us today?
So with that, thank you, Commissioner Marsh. With that, I am requesting the county to match what the city did at 1.2 million. Where you guys decide to take it, I'll leave that up to you. I know there was discussion about ARPA funds, but this would definitely get us going. It would get the ambulance coming. And, you know, to Commissioner Messer's question, yeah, I mean, we're probably going to be back asking for the rest. I mean, this isn't a one and done thing, but we're hoping to, once we kind of get going, to have some savings so that total number does come down. And then, like Deputy Administrator Carlson said, you know, we're hoping that we can start bringing in money, and that will even bring that number down even farther for that first year.
okay,
So I had a question. So you're saying the 1.2 is just to get through the 2024?
No, it would carry over into 2025 as well. It would be a little chunk of that. I haven't pulled out the full amount for the ambulance equipment and just put in the 50, but it would be, you know, take out the that 959 or 69,000 for all the ambulance and the equipment, and just add 50 there. That's all that would be needed for that first year. So there would be some carryover there.
Okay.
Because the 50,000 is a down payment, we don't pay the rest until
Essentially a
Closing
down
date.
payment. Yep,
when we take it over.
yep.
But I mean, this is not a one and done. I mean, we're looking for a long-term commitment here. We're going to partner together for hopefully many, many years here. So, I mean.
Hopefully indefinitely.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, we can expect to be having the same conversation or budget numbers for next year in
Well,
our 25.
hopefully, eventually, it should almost be self-sustaining.
Yes. But in this initial couple of years, it's going to take.
Well, yeah, if we're gonna hold hands, we've gotta hold hands.
Yeah.
okay. I look for a motion then.
And let's find out where we're gonna get our money from before we make a motion.
So I provided you with where we are sitting on non-committed ARPA. If the commission wants to do it out of ARPA funding currently, then we can move it over. I discussed with Linda, they would keep it separate. So we could actually move it over into the account for the fire department to have access to it for the ambulance. And then I would just have to put it on the federal reporting side. I would prefer that you use the ARPA because it needs to be allocated.
And it needs to be used by when?
Well, as of right now, it has to be allocated by the end of 2024,
So we have 6 months.
unless they change a date again.
And
Yeah.
then the deadline for spending is the end of,
Well, they changed that twice.
okay.
So,
Well, here's my thought, and that was the specific reason I asked that question is, according to Karen, we have 1.368 million left in ARPA, available ARPA funds, maybe a little more if some of these don't get allocated and spent. I think this is the reason why you have ARPA is for these kind of things. We did verge away from that a little bit, but I guess if it was my recommendation would be we commit. He said he's probably going to be coming back, so we should allocate all of that 1.368 to this 1.2 we could fund in 2024 and leave the rest as a reserve to get so that we can get up to that 3.6 million. I mean, I'm open for discussion, but I'd hate to have something else come in. This is critical, this is important. There's things we can do, but this is something we absolutely have to do, provide this service, so.
So the service that that they currently provide in that map, that first slide, is that the same service area that you're gonna take over? No additional?
Yes, exactly. There would essentially be no change to the area that's covered. We'd be providing the same exact response district, the same services essentially.
What would the benefits be to the community, the county, bring it in-house rather than having it with an independent contractor?
I think the group kind of talked about the benefits we saw is with a private ambulance service, I mean, could we be doing this again in 5 years?
Yeah, just the
2
stability of,
years? You know, that was one of the big determining factors was, are we gonna be right back in the same boat when somebody does come in, they buy it, and then it just doesn't work out for them? Are we gonna be right back into this? Because initially, when we were first approached, the discussion was, it was happening January 1 of '25, which really left us no time to prep, kind of had us scrambling, really rushing through stuff. And that's something that we didn't want to be put back in again. And just having a little more, I don't want to use the word control, but control over it, the data, the services, you know, that's kind of the stuff we talked about in the group. You know, we would probably still have to supplement another private ambulance service if they did come in to make it worth their while and enter into some type of MOU with response and, you know, ambulance requirements, stuff like that. So it would just still costed both the city and county some money. But the group just felt like this was the better option and it was going to be a really good partnership.
I think it's a good partnership with the fire department and the ambulance under one roof. And I think it's a good partnership between the city and the county.
And there'll probably be some operational, functional aspects you have to work out with us as far as, you know, out in the future, who sits on, you had mentioned at the other presentation, you know, this, your control board, there, yeah, Dusty's here,
I'll refer to Administrator Dossinger.
yeah.
Good morning, Commission Chairman. Thank you for allowing us to present today. As part of it, obviously later today you have a presentation regarding a joint powers agreement with our dispatch center. We are looking at forming a public safety advisory committee that will oversee both EMS services and our PSAP center. So we will be looking for two members of the Stark County Commission to sit on that advisory board. I'm not sure if you want to choose those today or at a later date, but we will be meeting at least on a quarterly basis for that.
It's good.
So, I mean, ultimately, we are committing, if we're gonna commit to the initial payment to get them kicked off in '24, we're ultimately committing for basically 2.5 years of funding here until we actually start receiving revenue. So that's in the amount of about $3 million, right?
Of our share.
Our share. Yeah. Just so we're all clear.
Well, his 2026 budget was not including the revenue. They would start getting in probably about 6 months.
Yes.
Right, so it might
Yes.
cut that in half.
Yes.
Which is nice, right?
Okay.
But I think starting out, what you're looking at is the 2020, I'd commit the 2024 ARPA to their special funds account for tracking purposes for reporting, then they can just pull me one report and do the 1,368,000. And we can do that now, and then put in the 2025 budget, probably around 400, just as where we would be at to cover us through 2025. So those added together gets you pretty close to the amount they would need.
And I had
Probably the full amount, actually,
one
through
last
2025.
One last question. I think maybe you brought it up at the emergency center. What was the I guess, services rendered, the collection rate? Was there a collection rate? I know ambulances don't always get paid for their services. Was there a percentage that's national average?
Yeah, I believe the national average is like 53, 54%. It's in that 50 percentile. I will say there are some ambulance services in western North Dakota right now that are ran out of a fire department that are collecting about 70%. And as far as I can tell, it looks like the Dickinson area ambulance is anywhere between 50 and 55% collection rate. I mean, Mr. Wallace is here, he could probably clarify that if he wanted to, but based on the numbers that we have, that's the number that we kind of came up with, or that was at least stated at one time. So if we got into that 40-50% range, based on what our proposed billing schedule would look like, we can come really close to breaking even. Realistically, in the first year, will we get there? Yeah, we hope so. We're gonna try really hard to, and try to minimize costs as much as possible to make it happen, but, it may take us a couple of years to where we really, truly are fully self-sustaining.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes. good.
I think I can answer your question. I'm Dave Wallace. I manage the Dickinson Ambulance Service. You ask about a private entity. Under the state licensing, a private entity would only have to have one ambulance in Dickinson. That's all they have to have.
Okay.
So if you went with a private business, they get an advanced life support license in Dickinson and cover in our area, they'd only have to cover it with one ambulance. That's it. There's no other provisions in the state. They removed that in this last session. So by going with the government entity, you control how many ambulances there are. Private business, one. That's all they would have to do. And hence why I believe that the government taking it and being part of it is the only way to go. Because if you go down to one, the way we're licensed today, we could go down to one ambulance and meet our licensing requirement. And that just isn't gonna work in Stark County and the surrounding area.
No.
So this is at least what I've seen of it, is probably the best way to go. That's gonna guarantee the services to the citizens of Stark County and of Dunn County as well.
That's good. Thank you for explaining that.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Wallace does bring up a good point. Obviously, if it is a private company, their motivation is going to be money, right? To make money, or else why else be in it? So they're going to do what the bare minimum is. I'm not really sure why the state made the changes, probably to help accommodate some of the smaller ambulance services, but let's be real, is one ambulance going to cover Stark County? There's multiple times where there's 4 ambulances out, or, very frequently 3 ambulances out. So Dave does bring up a very good point, and that should speak to the character of the owner of the Dickinson area ambulance, and Dave is the current manager, right? They knew that they could drop down to 1 ambulance and 1 paramedic, and they chose to keep it at 3, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
So currently this fiscal year, you're looking for 1.2, correct?
To match what the city did.
Correct.
That's correct, Commissioner White.
I would have one more question. So, I mean, we already partner with the city and with our dispatch currently. And, I mean, I think that we have this commission's gonna have to agree with this, but, for future people to have something in place, some sort of joint powers agreement between the two entities, so this business can continue, with some basically outlined how we're gonna proceed with it. So there's no questions, because, 10 years down the road, most likely none of us, maybe you will be Bernie, but I'm not gonna be sitting here, so. For perpetuity reasons.
Yes, good question, Mr. Claris, Commissioner Claris. So right now, Attorney Wankel is working on a joint powers agreement between the county and the city regarding the EMS services.
Good.
Very similar to what she did with the joint powers agreement with the dispatch services. So that is being worked on. We do currently have a draft regarding the purchase agreement for the Dickinson Ambulance Service. After today, if approved, we can put a little bit more work into that purchase agreement. And then obviously we'd bring that back to you guys to review as well, and Attorney Engelstad to review, to work through that before it's presented to the owner of the ambulance service.
Okay. Look for a motion then.
I'd make a motion that we match the city's
Should you go into an agreement first with the, we should go into the agreement with them first, wouldn't you?
Okay,
You wanna make that motion? then?
sure. I don't know how you want to state it, so I'll let you state it. I'll make the motion.
Yeah.
I think with that, looking at our states, we should have a motion to go into agreement with the city, to partnership, I guess, with the ambulance service.
I would second that.
Okay, a motion and a second. I'll do roll call then. Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion carried.
And
Now
then
I
I
look-
would just make the caveat, obviously, that this is kind of an informal until the JPA is
Right.
ironed out.
Do we need we need an additional motion to discuss finances here?
I look for a motion, yeah, for financing it.
I would make the motion to pledge the balance of the ARPA funds in the amount of $1,368,073.61 towards our partnership with the City of Dickinson's Fire Department for their establishing the new ambulance service.
I think that we could probably do that in two motions, one to match and the other one to carry over into the future.
Or you could say 1.2 that is committed for 2024,
Okay.
the rest after that.
To
I would
carry.
also make it, with your acceptance, make it subject to entering this actual formal agreement.
Yeah. Subject to establishing the JDA between the
Yep.
two parties.
Yep. Because when's the earliest draw you're gonna need on this? I suppose once you hire the director.
That is correct, Commissioner Messer. That, and then, you know, once we do get the formal agreement in place, then that's when we'll be reaching out. We can start reaching out to ambulance manufacturers and kind of get that process going. But yeah, it would
Okay.
be whenever we pull the trigger on that.
Thank you. Just why don't you restate the whole thing and then we can,
Subject to, we want to pledge 1.2 million for the year 2024, right?
yep.
Okay.
And the balance in 2025. I would say.
Correct.
Okay. You ready to make that motion?
I want to hear the motion before we vote.
Okay, I would make the motion, or I would amend my previous motion to, we would, subject to entering into a successful joint powers agreement with the City of Dickinson, we would pledge in the amount of $1.2 million towards the 2024 ambulance project. Those funds coming out of our ARPA funds, okay, so we've got that designated, and then the balance of those funds to go in 2025 towards this project.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? We have it all covered.
I think so.
Probably not, but
Roll call vote then. Commissioner Claris,
aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
So Paul, the balance would be that 168,073.61 for 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and that's out of the American Rescue Plan funding, yep. Okay,
Just a quick question for you, Karen. Do we have any CARES Act money left, or have we
We
expended all of it?
do have some CARES Act money, not $1 million of it, but I was kind of thinking that that's what we would use for the budgeting for 2025
That's,
out of there.
I agree.
Just like to extend a thank you. We're looking forward to the partnership with the county, and hopefully that opens up other doors down the road for joint partnerships between the city and the county for quality of life projects just like this. So thank you.
okay, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would add.
I'm excited about this project moving forward. I think other cities are going to be following us. I think we're going to be setting a precedent and examples. And we have to move forward carefully, but I think we're going to do a good job. And you've been doing a great job.
Yeah, I would comment, that's a really great job from you and your team to flesh all this out. There was a lot of running around, and I think you did. I mean, you took a lot of runs at this thing and answered a lot of questions, and appreciate the diligence.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for putting off your vacation there too for this presentation. Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break here. So, yeah, there's some lots at Richardson, we'll go into that next then.
All right, well, I guess Marlene and Alan, Frederick, if you want to come up and explain what it is that you want to do and the lots that you have, and I'm not sure what the correct procedure will be, but we'll figure it out, and just introduce yourselves and.
Hi, I'm Alan Frederick. I originally was born and raised, grew up in the Richardson area. And then later on, we moved to Beulah, had jobs up there working at the power plants. And we're both retired and we're looking back into the Richardson area where our family's at. And I know there's some lots that the Jim Radnick had in Richardson that are up for sale. And we'd be willing to put an offer in, putting a home on their new home. And yeah, lots 9, 10, and 11, they are of block 3, I believe it is, in Richardson.
County owns them.
Yeah, is that the one south of the water tower?
Yes,
On the
correct.
corner there?
Yes, yep, it's a corner.
These are the ones that, there was an effort of trying to get, housing for workers over at the healthcare facility that fell through, so we have nothing on them. We've established the price.
Yeah, and you have to sell them at that established price, or you can reappraise them, and you have to go through the whole hearing process and that whole process again.
Yeah, I remember making that motion. I set the motion, I can't remember what it was, 25,000, something like that.
I think 19, wasn't it? Or-
19,000.
Whoa. Okay. Okay, so the set price for those lots is currently 48,400
For all 3 lots?
for all 3 lots, and then they were offered to the city for, I want to say it was 19, because this is including their specials and some of the cost of tearing down that structure. So the only 48,400 is what my office is allowed to sell it at, unless if we do a reappraisal and then you come with an offer hearing type situation to be able to come lower than that. But there would have to be a reappraisal.
We'd have to reappraise it, and then the county commission would have to go through the hearing process with the city, and then you would be able to set another price.
Yes.
But it's not, there's not really a negotiation option.
So the 48,000 that's asked, is any of that money promised to the city of Richardson for the tear down, or we did the tear?
We did tear down.
We
We
did
did
tear
it.
down.
Richardson has road specials, and then there is taxes owed. And so when we offered it back to them, so 48,400 is what was set last year at our delinquent tax sale. That was prior to tearing the house down. And then the house was torn down, and then when we offered it back to the city, that was to include their specials, and so basically it would pay the
Specials
city.
came off for the 48,000.
We offered it back to the city for like 19,
Yep.
and they declined it.
Yes.
But that would have paid the specials owed and
Okay.
stuff as far as the city streets.
So does the 48.4 include specials?
Oh, by far, yeah.
And is there a provision where a buyer could come in, pay X amount of dollars and assume the specials, or because it has gone into delinquent property, we have to sell it to include any specials?
Well, they're just paying the specials up to, like, the specials that are due now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is
It doesn't
that
include all of them,
would-
if that's what you
a
mean.
potential buyer, whether it's the Fredericks or somebody else, would not necessarily have to come up with the full 48.4, because they could come up with less money, buy the property, and then assume any balance of specials.
No, 48.4 is what you all set the price at for the lot.
That's
But
the
that
minimum.
included specials, though.
That included the delinquent specials.
Only the delinquent
Yep.
specials.
Each special is like 3,600 per lot.
That's,
That's
that's
the
why I'm
special.
not,
It's a lot.
thinking
But
just
it's
my
spread out, the
recollection. I don't
specials
know.
are spread out. They're not all due
I understand
right
that.
away, so it would only be the delinquent amount.
How many years is?
And when the 48,000 cover that delinquent amount, that would, right?
It normally wouldn't, we just pay it up to date. That's why the commission could reset the price but we'd have to have the hearing to do the reappraisal and then reset the price.
And then there's notice requirements, you have to
Right.
publish it and all that other good stuff as well. Yep, okay.
It's not terrible. We've done it before, but it's just up to the commission if you want to reset this particular, do a reappraisal.
Yeah.
Which the appraisal is probably high because this had a structure on it when it was set
Well, I
at
guess
48,400.
The question would be, 48.4 divided by 3 lots is 16,133 per lot. Is that something that you folks would be willing to entertain?
No, not for that amount, I would not. There are other lots in Richardson too, and they're right at about 5,000 lot. There are some more that are asking more, of course, but they're still for sale too.
Well, I guess my recommendation then, absence of that, is if we want to pursue something, maybe we ask the assessor to go out and do a reappraisal on these, and we can take a look at the value or price next meeting.
Question, and we have some sunk costs in this property.
Yeah, do you remember, Al, how much we,
Do we have any idea?
I think it was close to 20,000, somewhere in that neighborhood.
for the demolition?
To tear it down, the demo it, and to dispose of the landfill was pretty costly too.
Even if you added 5,000 a lot to that, you're still at 35,000.
Well, we basically just want to cover our costs of tearing down the structure and cover the cost of the taxes owed. We don't need anything above and beyond, because then it just goes into the clerk of courts for previous owner to claim it.
I guess.
We just want our costs recouped, so.
Guess we'd have to find out what's back due on the specials and what we have invested and see what
Well,
it
I think we
appraises
could
at.
get that next meeting, we can combine this, get the reassessment of value, and then get the exact breakdown of delinquent taxes, demolition costs, and delinquent specials, and have that to compare, and then we can move forward from there.
Does that work for you guys?
Yes, that would work, yeah.
So you'll have to have an open hearing though, then set the price, and then potentially somebody else could bid on it at that price. Just,
Understandable.
okay.
Okay,
You'll have to, after that, and then after that reappraisal hearing, you need to notify the city, because then we have to have a hearing where the city is allowed to come in and object to that price.
So how many?
Well, they didn't
hearings?
want it at that price, so.
I know, but you still have to do it. I mean, yeah.
Can we get this all done in
Yes.
one meeting?
Mm. Should be able to.
okay. Work on that and have it for next Monday meeting in August then.
Do the August meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thanks.
coming
Mr.
forward.
Chairman, I'd like one comment. When we did clean that basement out, we buried nothing, so you'll dig into, there's nothing hidden. The city cut the water off. We buried nothing. We took everything out, so you won't hit anything that's surprised when you dig in if you put a basement in there.
Yeah, it'd be just nice to, it's a beautiful.
So the foundation, everything's gone?
Yes.
We took everything out. The city cut the water and the sewer off, so you won't find any booby traps buried in there unless it's outside of the basement area.
Okay,
Great, thanks.
next, do planning and zoning, Mr. Josephson.
This business.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Josephson, County Planner. You have 2 items from last week's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to consider today. The first one, there are proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance. And what brought this about is that the National Flood Insurance Program completed a remapping of properties in the eastern part of the county, and they're ready to publish their new maps, flood insurance rate maps. They become effective on August 28th of 2024, and the primary motion here the primary thing is to amend the current flood management portion of the zoning ordinance to reflect that effective date. Both the State Water Commission and FEMA did review that floodplain management portion and said, well, there've been some updates. There've been some updates in terms of what needs to be in the ordinance, and there are proposed amendments to that. The other thing is, when the zoning ordinance was adopted back in 2012, there was no floodplain management section in there. There was a floodplain overlay district, which was meant to reduce use or to restrict uses within areas that fall within the floodplain. There are a number of things in there that, number one, that duplicate what's in the floodplain management ordinance. So the proposal is to remove those items. One of the uses that did not make it in there was to build single-family homes. That, I don't know at the time why that was, but I'm proposing to restore that as a permitted use in the floodplain management ordinance. And also, there were some uses in there that they described as structures that aren't structures, as conditional uses. So a lot of this is cleanup. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and county staff recommend approval of those amendments to the zoning ordinance, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions on the floodplain management?
So you're recommending adopting the floodplain management ordinance. Does that include the changes to the floodplain maps?
That's not, that's already been done, but it includes a section in there saying that it's effective on the, yes, it is the reading of the maps itself too.
Okay.
It's a reference actually to those floodplain maps.
And what floodplain map are we currently referencing? What year?
That would be there was one that was done in 2022, but that was for the western part of the county. The eastern part of the county was done in 2010. So currently it is the 2022 one.
Okay, and that includes the eastern part now as well?
That's the entire series.
Okay, got it. For the entire county?
Right.
And off the top of your head, the changes to the map between 2010 and 2022 or 2024, significant, minor, anything we need from a land use?
I think they're somewhat minor. I think there were some adjustments in the Taylor area, but yeah, they're somewhat minor. They also reflect any sort of flood map amendments that were done over the years too. But no, it's not bringing in aren't bringing in large portions that were previously outside the flood, the special flood hazard area, now making it that. They're not adding that in.
Okay, so do the small cities like South Hart has a city, a quick adjacent to it, Belfield has going through it. Do they control it, or do we control it for them? Or do we adopt that map for them?
No, they adopt their own map.
Got it.
No, the cities have their own map. Just to note, there are cities in the county that don't participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. I think it's the eastern ones that don't. But they're responsible for the floodplain management, but they have to participate in that program. So if they're not participating in that program, then they don't have floodplain maps. But no, this is just in the unincorporated county.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Now I'll look for a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would move that we adopt the proposed amendments to Article 2, Rules and Definitions, Article 3, General Provisions, and Article 5, Zoning District Regulations of the Stark County Zoning Ordinance adopted October 2nd, 2012, regarding floodplain management and floodplain overlay district.
Okay, I have a motion to have a second.
I'll second it.
I have a second. Do a roll call vote. Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Okay,
Okay, the second item, it's CP 0124. It's a proposed update of the 2010 Stark County Comprehensive Plan. Essentially, it would be replacing the 2010 plan with the 2040 plan. This has been a project that the county has been undertaking for the last year. Commissioners, if you recall, the county had received a grant from emergency management in order to perform this. The county hired consulting firm SRF in order to do this plan. They also put together a technical advisory committee. One of the commissioners, Commissioner Claris, was a member of that. There were opportunities for public, for public input. The draft plan was posted online, and what you have attached to the staff report are the goals, objectives, and policies in the proposed future land use map. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission last Tuesday recommended approval of the 2040 plan to replace the 2010 plan, and staff recommends the same. I am not sure if Dave Sweeney from SRF is on the line with us. I think he was going to try to call in. But anyway, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
So as this plan goes forward, how often is it reviewed during its lifetime?
I would have to check that. I
I
think
mean,
they
to
set
see if
something
they're
in there, but yes, it
following
needs to,
the-
you know.
Or if it's just, you got the plan here and, in 10 years we look at it again, I mean, it needs to be followed and needs to be somewhat reported back to us as far as, I think, should be reported back to us as far as how it's going forward.
I would agree. I'm trying to remember what was in here in the implementation section, but I believe it called for a regular update for it. But yeah, 10 years is too long. I'd say 3 to 5 years at least.
Say 3 years at a max.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years at least.
Because 5 years, you're halfway through it almost.
Well, anyone, whether it's me or someone in the future, I always review documents on a regular basis, anyway, because things change.
Because as things are being implemented, we want to make sure that it's following the plan,
Over at the city, I've done that where I've gone through the goals, objectives, and policies and listed, how it's been, done a report and listed how they've been implemented. If you're looking at something like a 3-year review or a 5-year review,
in my mind, I think 3 years is long enough.
okay.
Review it and see if they're following the.
yeah, and the plan has in it the measures of progress as we go through it too, and it's part of the plan too, so.
Okay.
Follow up with it is the main thing.
So are you adding in this policy for LU 3.1 infrastructure availability development agreements, where you talk about adequate roads, water, waste disposal, and emergency services are available to subdivisions prior to approval? And then when the necessary infrastructure cannot be installed prior to final subdivision approval, Stark County requires the completion of a development agreement. So are you saying when somebody submits a plat for a subdivision, that you're having them be responsible for having the roads and the water and everything put into that?
Well, they are
subdivision?
responsible now.
Yeah, it's current.
They're responsible for that now. This just formalizes that.
This is formalizing that process,
Right.
right? Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion then.
Let's see here. Hang on, give me a second here. Mr. Chairman, I would move that we adopt the 2040 plan, comprehensive plan, replacing the 2012, or is it the 2012?
2010.
Or 20, excuse me, replacing the 2010 Stark County Comprehensive Plan.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Roll call then, Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion carried.
Thank you. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who participated, in this, the Technical Advisory Committee, the citizens who showed, and residents who showed up for this or took the, or participated in the, in the surveys. And I know that y'all took the time to review this and have input. So, compared to what we had in 2010, I think this is a major step. This is a major step forward, and I'd hope it provides the kind of guidance that, I think it'll provide the kind of guidance that both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the County Commission looks for when making land use and other decisions. So, and appreciate this, doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
Okay, thanks a lot.
thank you. Okay, next to the City of Taylor, represented by Moore Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is AJ Tuck. I'm with Moore Engineering. Auditor Lisa Ani is here today, and I think we have two council members on the phone as well. Councilmember Germanson, and then Mayor Ross Rebel, I think, is on the phone. First of all, I want to start off, does everyone have the information in your packets that we sent out? Okay. So that's what I'm going to be referencing today. Just a brief history. We were here a couple months ago, and we talked at a high level about our project in Taylor, basically connecting to the Southwest Water Authority. There's a 3-inch line coming into town now. We're replacing that with a 6-inch line. What that's going to do is give us higher pressures through town. There's a number of dead-end lines, dead-end water lines in town that 2 or 3 people might be served off of. And those dead-end lines are smaller, like 1.5 inches. So if one person's using a shower and the other person's water in their lawn, and somebody else wants to flush a toilet, you notice that there's a tremendous drop in water pressure with everybody using water. So bringing this new 6-inch line into town, connecting to all the cross streets is going to greatly improve pressures, especially during times when folks are using water. So that's the purpose of the project. When we were here a couple months ago, we didn't have grant money secured from the State Water Commission. Basically just made a kind of a request from the county that you put it on your radar and that we might be coming back and asking for some grant funds, if you want to call them that, from the county. So today, as you reference your sheet here in front of you, we have secured $1.2 million approximately from the State Water Commission. The city has contributed $200,000 themselves, cash out of their accounts. I believe you mentioned it was COVID, ARPA,
And the oil and gas.
gross production tax.
We drain those 3 accounts.
Okay, and then we're getting a loan in the amount of $630,000 from the DWSRF program. Those loan funds are administered from the Bank of North Dakota and the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. So, what does that look like for the citizens? We got 130 parcels in town. We're planning on special assessing this project as it does benefit every parcel in town. With no additional county share, we'd be looking at a special of about $7,400 over the course of 30 years. That breaks down to $246 a year, but it's a total special of $7,400 total. I gave you some different amounts: 100K, 200K, 300K, if the county were to contribute those amounts, and what that does for the specials. I think today, for us, we would like to formally ask for a match, a $200,000 match. Since the city is contributing $200,000, would the county be willing to contribute $200,000 to this project? Obviously, nothing is expected, but we're kindly requesting. So I'll pause there just for any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
So, not following this, but when you have a 6-inch line coming into your water tower tank that you just got put in, and so that affects that much more pressure as far as pushing it back out to
Yeah.
where you have those 1.5-inch lines.
Right, yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, the 3-inch line really has a lot of head pressure or head resistance, if you want to call it that. It only allows a certain amount of flow through it. So what we call static pressure is when nobody is using water, the amount of water pressure within a system. And Taylor's system pressure static is good. It's around 60 PSI, depending on where you're at in town. The issue is when you are on one of those dead end lines, that 3-inch line doesn't have enough water capacity to bring the water to those folks fast enough. So if you have a lot of usage on a smaller line, one of those 1 1/4 inch lines, for instance, that water pressure really drops. That's called dynamic pressure. And that's where you notice it if you're in a shower and the guy across the street flushes the toilet and somebody else is doing whatever, so.
Somebody turns on the hot water and all of a sudden you get a big shower,
Right.
cold water.
So currently, what did you say, 3-inch line?
Yes.
So a 3-inch line, if nobody's using it, the hydrostatic pressure is pretty good, right? And then once you get everybody showering about 6:30 at night after supper or whatever, and you can't refill them tanks fast enough to keep that hydrostatic pressure up.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And we would be solely relying on the pressure from the new tank that the Southwest Pipeline Project and the Southwest Water Authority built. Right now, we have a booster station, so we have a 25,000 gallon clear well, and we re-pump that water. That would come completely offline, and we'd be solely reliant on the tank, which is what we'd rather have anyway. So there's plenty of residual pressure in the tank and lots of water capacity in that tank as well, so.
How far is that 3-inch line gonna be what's the distance from
It's about-
Southwest Water to the tank?
It's about 3,000 feet.
This does allow us to have, water when we lose electricity. That does happen.
Oh, sure.
Does the
Because of the
city of
boost pump.
Taylor currently have any special assessments really on any of their
No. but
properties?
There is the lagoon project is coming.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big problem that's coming up.
So Lisa, when you talk about special assessments at your meetings, what's the reception you get, feedback you get from everybody in the community?
Well, they understand that this is necessary. We have this, beautiful tower that just got built that they know we need to get hooked up to it, but they're not opposed to what's coming. They know what's coming. We had to decide if it was going to be through the water billings, utility billing that we were going to get these funds to pay back the SRF, or if we were going to do specials. And the council decided on specials.
I would comment that I appreciate the work done on this thing and actually bringing to the commission something that's pretty fleshed out and ready to roll here. Which leads me to the whole discussion of, I'm 100% in support of small cities. I think that you guys are critical to the county, and, this is gonna just benefit, you're gonna have the opportunity for Taylor to expand and obviously offer services to the people that are there, which is great, but which leads me down the road is like, does this county need to consider, basically establishing some sort of funding that's available to all the small cities?
It's gonna happen.
Across the county, with the criteria, you guys come to us, you've got skin in the game, which is great. You've done all the work. So I wonder if that's something that we should look at.
I've said it before, every one of these small communities is gonna have some infrastructure issues that's gonna come up. And does it fall on us? No, but yes, it does, because if we don't support these communities, people won't live in the communities, and that's much more burden on us. So, we need to have something, as you just said, I've talked about that at many commission meetings.
Is it possible to establish a special fund
I mean, we've
with criteria?
We've discussed it before where, first we did a grant writer to the small cities type situation. And I don't think that the small cities ever actually got him enough of what he needed.
It was more emergency management and emergency FEMA funds. So it had
Okay.
to be a disaster type need.
Okay, so that was kind of our first step. And then we're kind of now getting the step of, these are things that are coming up, right? Because I know that we had even at that time, multiple lift stations going in. I think it's just kind of up to the commission if you want to weigh, because we have, Richardson residents that are paying large special assessments right now. We have Battlefield residents that are paying specials. We have city residents that are, Dickinson residents that are paying specials. What do you think is fair? Should they be paying none or should they be paying all of them? Like, I mean, I guess going forward, there's gonna have to be some sort of criteria. Cause that's why I asked her if anybody was paying anything yet.
Even with, yeah, a donation or a contribution from Stark County, there still would be special assessments.
Yeah.
So the citizens themselves would have, some skin in the game here as well, which is great. I mean, they should, participate in their city. I mean, that could be part of the criteria to this special fund.
Well, I mean, they've done the work, they've got grants, they've apparently went through every resource they can, and now they're coming to us because we said you need to do a little bit of your own footwork.
And the city themselves.
You did share with us last time you were here, if the county contributed this much, this is how much the citizens' bill would increase per whatever, I think it was 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, so.
And it is on there as well.
Okay.
At the bottom.
I gotta zoom in.
I mean, like I said, I like the idea with the skin that, the city of Taylor's,
Collaborative
that you're
effort,
putting your money in as well. You're not coming and asking for the entire project here. You've done all the legwork, exhausted all the funding sources that you can. So,
Well, I think if we're gonna look at this, and I agree, we've said this for years, that we gotta figure out a way of keeping our smaller communities vibrant, because if they die, then we die, as in Dickinson. But what I would suggest is let's then formalize a committee to make some recommendations of a plan, because it's real tough to do it on an individual basis, right? So we have to do it collectively, make a plan, and then depending on what can get funded on a per annual basis, because you have a lot of criteria. Richton did all their work in the last couple of years.
Yep.
Do they qualify? You're doing yours now. That qualifies. Bellfield's got a huge project over there. So I guess I would like to see us do that. Get a small group together and make a recommendation to the full commission on how we potentially could assist this, and let's get it done so it's part of the 2025 budget.
Home rule?
Huh? Home rule, maybe.
Anyway, we have a proposal here, and if we were gonna help them out, where would we get the money from?
Exactly.
what do
Are
we-
you asking?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, this would be general funds. I mean, we don't really have like another fund with amounts that,
Yep,
for
I was just
something like
wondering
this.
Which fund we would take it from, and if we have the money there to do it.
What's the balance? Do we have any balance left in the CARES Act?
I would have to check on the CARES Act one, because we're supposed to be moving that balance over anyways, and we just discussed using that for the ambulance for next year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Some of it,
so I
yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of CARES Act funding left. Like, this would have to be pretty much out of the general.
Do you have any deadlines, that you need an answer? Obviously, I'd like to know today, but does it have to happen today?
No, it doesn't have to happen today. It can wait.
Yeah, Commissioner Claris, if I can just add, we have a city council meeting next week, Monday. We plan on issuing the notice of award to our low bidder BEK Consulting out of Dickinson here. We plan on moving forward with the project, whether there's additional funding from Stark County or not, because we know that it's needed, so.
So could we put this in with the budget request for our budget here I just got through election, so I'm starting on that, right? This month, so we start having our budget hearings like in August.
So you're asking if us being part of the 2025 budget is what you're asking?
Yes.
If it could be in there.
Could it be part of that? Would that affect anything?
When does the districting with the special assessment committee, when does that start? 'Cause those numbers will be put together and finalized per parcel,
Yeah.
but I don't know the timing of it, the timeline. Okay, yeah, that would be fine then.
Okay, So that would work.
The work itself is going to get done this year, though.
And completed this year?
Yes.
Right.
And you'll continue, is that a boost station or a lift station that you have there? I mean, it's probably essentially the same thing.
No, this project is solely a water main connecting to the tower, and we'll be running off the pressure of the tower. The future
Okay.
projects,
You won't need that boost pump
we will
anymore.
not need our booster station anymore.
And
Correct.
is that portable? Can be resold, reused?
The clear well is most likely shot. I know the concrete in that clear well is cracked. It's just a big concrete tank. The pump could be sold and salvaged for parts. The pump itself was replaced in 2019, I believe. The controls are very outdated and not worth
Okay.
anything.
And once we have everybody's requests together, I mean, we're having our budget meetings, but they could, they could choose to do it earlier, but at least they're knowing what balances of all the funds are so that we know what we're looking at.
Numbers.
Right. And so that would be my suggestion to the commission, depending on what you all want to do, is address this with our budget items, even if it's done in 2024. You could approve it in 2024, it just,
Right.
at least we would know where all of our funds are.
Well, I know with the work being done this year and completed this year, is there any funds other than general funds that we can pull from to pull money this year, this fiscal year, to help out with that project?
Yeah, your general fund.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, they're all in there other than special project funds, and we don't really have, those are capital improvements and buildings, so those are for like improving the courthouse or buildings.
Did we help with this year also? Didn't we do a generator with the Gladstone Fire Department out of general funds? Was that this year?
That generator came out of CARES Act funding.
CARES Act, yeah. I think if we actually had a special fund and the small cities knew that this funding was available, it would spur them to move on projects. If they knew that there was a potential, some matching dollars out there if it met certain criterias. There a lot of them are probably a little paralyzed because these are big projects, costs a lot, and sometimes they don't even look at them because it's just out of their reach.
And a lot of them don't have the ability to do grants, but they would still have to do grants and do all the other resources before they come to us anyway. There would have to be, like you said, criteria to it, and I totally agree, we need to have something for these small communities.
Okay, I guess we'll look at our budgeting, turn our budgeting then and work with that. Thanks for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, next, Sunrise Youth Bureau.
Good morning, Chair Franchuk and the Stark County Commissioners. My name is Holly Prouse, and I'm the Director of Sunrise Youth Bureau. I also brought along Amber Hofstad. She's my youth advisor. Many of you already know the services that we provide to our communities, so we wanted to change our presentation up a little bit today. We are here to first and foremost thank you for your support to Sunrise Youth Bureau. If it wasn't for the funding and the space provided by Stark County, we would not be here. So thank you from our board of directors and our staff. Secondly, we wanted to share some of the stories of how we help the youth in our communities and surrounding areas. The first story we would like to share is about a youth that we had in our out-of-school suspension program. We have worked with this youth for a number of years, so he already felt comfortable talking to us. Amber was working closely with him and was worried that he seemed really down and out when he was at Sunrise. After visiting with him, Amber approached me and she told me her concerns of him being suicidal and possibly having a plan. We decided we need to act on our concerns and called Badlands Human Service Center. They sent over one of their crisis workers to visit with him. After visiting with him, they said he needs to go to the emergency room due to the severity of the situation. After the ER, he was sent to an inpatient mental health facility. We think of these situations, and if he had never opened up to us, what might have happened. We thank God he did open up to us, and we were able to help him that day. One morning, we received a call from the Dickinson Police Department. They received a call from a police officer from Bozeman, Montana. There was a 16-year-old male that ran away from home and he was riding the bus. The Dickinson Police Department had to intervene and get the youth off of the bus in Dickinson, North Dakota. The boy stayed at Sunrise Youth Bureau until his dad could come and get him. After visiting with the boy, he was making his way up to Chicago to visit friends. Again, if Sunrise Youth Bureau wasn't here, where would have this boy gone? In the middle of the night, I received a call from a social worker that they needed placement for 4 siblings. Their mom got arrested because her and another family member got into a physical altercation. The 4 children came to Sunrise in the middle of the night until a family member was able to come and get them. We had a safe place for them to go during a very scary time in their lives. These are just a few of the stories we can share of how we've helped a child, children, and their families. If we weren't here to be able to help, where would these kids have gone? That is why we want to express our gratitude to the Stark County Commissioners for your continued support. I did send out a letter asking for the same amount as we've been asking in the past, so I'm assuming you guys received that letter. I also sent out our annual reports as well as giving them to you today so you can kind of look at our numbers. I feel like every year we're seeing an increase in youth for all of our programming that we provide. Did you guys have any questions for us?
Just know that you guys have in the past and will continue doing an amazing job. And I know your job gets bigger every year.
Thank you.
I'd like to reiterate that we, in my capacity, work not always with Sunrise, but with agencies that work with Sunrise, and they are really invaluable to our community.
Yes, they are.
Thank you. I don't know if Rich or Amber would like to add a couple other items. Rich has been with us since the beginning. He's the chair of our board, and he's done a lot for us as well, so we appreciate him.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Rich Wardner, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I have been with the Youth Bureau since the beginning. 1997 is when we kicked it off, and I was the assistant principal at Dickinson High School. I was gone for a couple of years there, but other than that, I've been with that organization all that time. And I want to tell you how thankful I am for your support. It wouldn't be where it's at today and being as effective. And of course, we've got Commissioner White, Sheriff Lee that are on the board, and we appreciate them being there and their input. But the thing that I need to emphasize, and some of you will understand this, the Youth Bureau is like a linebacker in football. They back up the middle school, they back up the high school, they back up the 2 private schools, and all the other schools in the county, plus county social services, the Division of Juvenile Services. They're there, they're backing up the parents. When they're needed, they're there to help, and they make a difference. You know, we had one individual, and you'll appreciate this, he was from Dunn County, thankful, but he was even too much for the Youth Bureau to deal with. The county commissioners had to sit with them in a hotel up in Killdeer. Our law enforcement, our social service people don't have to do that. They can get back on the job. So I want to thank you. I've been involved in it, the funding. We started out with the grants and none, when Stark County came in and did what they did. And then the great place we have, actually the Sunrise Youth Bureau is the #1 juvenile placement place in the state of North Dakota. Because they have shelter care, attended care, they do a lot of things, and there's an outreach and education. They go out into the schools in the 8-county region and to make a difference. So you are the ones that are making a difference, and you need to know that, and that goes with all the county commissioners that have served here before you and now with you. And so thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have the liberty to make a couple other comments about something else, if I may.
Go ahead.
All right. It's about property tax, and it's about you guys. I've sat here and I've watched you. I've done a lot of work, and I will continue to be opposed to the petition to get rid of the property tax on the valuation that we've have currently. And as we talk to people, and I have a lot of people call me and discuss, and I get this one. We have a spending problem. No, we don't. And I've watched you guys work today, and it's really appreciated. We have an inflation problem. You people have to balance between the needs and the money that you have and where it goes. The demand out there. We just had the City of Taylor. I think you did the right thing. That's a decision. You were very thorough about what you did. If this passes, things like that are gone. You're not going to have them. And they're talking about, they're taking part of that that money that it goes into the Resources Trust Fund that goes to water projects, using part of that to fund this. If they do that, it just destroys everything. The state is going to be handcuffed. They're not going to have revenue to help out and maintain what we have. The Youth Bureau, I don't know what will happen to them. But I'm telling you, no, you people are doing a great job. And it's not a spending problem, it's an inflation problem. And remember, you guys have to compete for people in the workforce. But in our area, if you don't, they're gone. So when people say, well, my taxes keep going up, the commissions, whether it's city or county, and they talk about you guys spending too much, you're just trying to keep what you have and keep effective services for the people. You also had the ambulance thing in here earlier. Public safety. What is the Youth Bureau? Public safety. That's what you're working on. Public safety. And so I just want to just say, don't ever, ever second guess yourself, because you have to deal with these needs, and the infrastructure the cost keeps going up, and you have no control over it. But we still expect it. So all I can say is you guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much. I think I got to come here more often and watch you operate. So thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Any other questions for us for Sunrise?
Anybody else? Okay.
Keep up the good
Thank you,
work.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot. Okay. Good. This is for the auditor, the 2025 Commission Budget Directive.
Oh. I was just going to ask the commission if we could set a special meeting date. I'm hoping maybe even Monday, this coming Monday, we can go over some balances and then see what the commission would like to see for budget options as far as the columns and, a percentage versus a dollar amount, because it's a lot of footwork to do like 4 different columns, because it's individually done and calculated out. So if you would like to do a special meeting on Monday, maybe we could narrow down what the commission would like to see on the budget.
Well, I think it's a great idea, Karen, but I do have a conflict, so 9:30 in the morning, I do have a meeting. I don't really want to set it at 8 o'clock because it might go longer than an hour or hour and a half. I don't want to be limited in this meeting, so what works for everybody else?
Well, now this is just the directive, what you guys would like to see on there, so we're not gonna be like formalizing any sort of actual budgets, just what you wanna see on the budget, so that we can start setting up our budget
We'll do that
meetings.
in 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I would hope so.
Work for you?
If we think we can get it done in an hour.
I
Can
think we
do
could
it
honestly
any
get it
sooner than
done.
8 a.m.?
You never know, it might be a spirited conversation.
Can we do it sooner?
8 a.m.?
I'm up at 4:30, so we can do it at
Yeah, we could do it
4:06.
5. 5 in the morning's fine.
This building doesn't open that early.
Not sooner than 8 a.m., Corey. That's
Okay,
pushing it.
that's what I was asking.
Yep, nope. So 8 a.m. is fine. Me and Lana leave for an auditor treasurer conference, and we're gonna be gone Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so it can't be any of those days. But that'll give me some time to get some totals together. So, and just so that you can direct me on what you would like to see, line items wise and columns wise.
Can you shoot out a quick email of what we did last year?
Sure.
Just a refresher?
Yeah, I can just send you with the approved budget.
Yeah,
for
I
last year.
know I still probably have notes and stuff that I've taken, but I know you retyped some stuff up after several meetings last year that we had together, so
Yeah,
you can just to re-jog my memory.
I'll just send you the approved budget from last year so that you
Okay.
you know kind of how it works and then what you would like to see
Perfect.
coming up for these meetings, because we got some meetings coming up.
Okay.
That's all I was gonna ask, so.
Look for a motion then for a meeting set up for next week, Monday.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we have a special meeting at 8:00 a.m. Monday, July 8th.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A second, all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, we go into emergency management. Stecker.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm gonna kind of do it. This was short, but then that storm last week made this a little longer, so I apologize. So community lifelines are good right now. We had a brief interruption and some power during the storm, but as of right now, we're stable. Month of June, 61 calls total for the fire departments in the county. The one number that's a little higher to me than normal are the structure fires. We had one structure fire that was a home in Belfield, and then we had 2 barns that were on fire from lightning strikes. So that's a little not typical. But and then the 4th structure fire, I have no information on. I believe it was in city limits. We've had 8 wildfires reported and 24 acres burned. There have been more wildfires since last month. They're just these numbers come from the state, so they're waiting on some reports from those fire departments. So this is just what I have as of right now reported from the state. I should see a better update as next month. I have some training highlights from some of the departments in the county. Dickinson Rural Fire Department did a training where they had a car that had gone into the ditch. They did some wide area search training and then extricating patients at an angle. That was very interesting to watch. If you saw in the paper, there was that vehicle that went into the lake. That happened while they were out training, so it was very good to see them respond, kind of get out of that training mindset and go right into response mode. They did a very good job. I was very impressed. We brought in that hazmat technician training. And that came from Alabama State Fire College. That was a week long. I had 14 people attend the class, and it was a very good class. They came out. All the students really enjoyed it. I tried to get Commissioners Marsh and Commissioner Claris in some suits, and
Did come out there.
you did. It didn't work out though, but I think I can get you guys maybe in some turnout gear and maybe into a fire. So maybe that will make up for it. I really like those guys from Alabama. They came out and told our guys that the reason why they do this stuff and they come out and teach in other areas is they acknowledged our firefighter memorial in Garrison. They said if they can do anything to prevent someone else from being added to that list, that's what they live for basically. So I really appreciate it. They're worth all the money that they cost. And that we're kind of working on some partnerships with them so that we can do this training in-house and just bring them out to have them do the testing and get the certification. So we made some good relationships there. Ham Radio had their field day. This is a worldwide day where ham radio is set up and then they all get on the radio together. The idea behind it is to overload the system in kind of a mock, major scenario to prove that even if everyone's trying to speak on the radio, you are still able to get through and talk. Our ham radio club was able to get through to France and to Spain. And then they had some, talking to the president of the club, he said they had some people come out there and get on the radios for a long time and really love it. So I'm hoping to kind of upgrade them to something other than that camper. I have some grant money that I'm putting in for, so I'm hoping I get approved for it. They really deserve something. I think that's campers from '09. It's not in the best condition, so I'm hoping to upgrade them a little bit more. All right, so storm last Thursday, I called it the Prairie Hurricane. So as of Thursday, we were in a level 3 for our outlook. So that is some enhanced risk. I started learning about the storm on Tuesday, and at that time we were in the category 2, so we were in the slight risk. But as of Wednesday, we entered into that enhanced risk. We were in a 5% tornado probability. We were in a 30% chance of high wind probability, and those black dashes are significant chances, so we were in that significant category. We were in a 30% chance for large hail with significant chance. This is anything 2 inch or greater. I think by the time the storm was predicted to come through, we were from tennis ball to apple size. This is a report I got at 5 a.m. from the Weather Service that morning. The only real big change I had seen in the storm was that it had expanded a little further east. So instead of us being kind of on the edge, we were now kind of more in the center. We were predicted to start at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. The numbers on the bottom are all in Central Time. They were saying there was a possibility for a couple tornadoes, the tennis ball sized hail, and up to 80 miles per hour of wind. This is our kind of outlook, the probability chances. You can see wind was the highest category for the highest hazard. So when this information came to me Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I decided to activate my EOC, which is the Emergency Operations Center, and I activated it to a level 1. That just means I've identified a threat that could potentially happen to the county, and I'm just gathering information and getting it out to the appropriate people so that they can make decisions. We haven't been affected by anything yet, so I don't need to activate to a level 2. I don't need to mobilize resources. I don't need to get resources to distribute. But if we were seeing disruptions in those community lifelines, I was ready to activate to a level 2 and start mobilizing those resources if needed. This was the storm that we were watching that night. As you can see, we had 2 pretty significant cells coming through. One at the top that was in Fairfield. The Fairfield Assistant Emergency Manager told me when he was getting hail, which was quarter sized at 50 miles per hour. And we had that lower cell that activated those tornado sirens in Belfield. That storm system is called a bow echo. So it's got that bow shape and it comes through pretty quick, and it usually brings some high damaging winds. And then these were the reported effects of the storm. All those W's were severe winds that were reported, and then 2 tornadoes were reported. We had one in Trotters, which is not in our county, but still a concern. And then we had the one that was reported 7 miles south-southwest of South Hart. As the reports came through, we didn't make the rain report, but we did make the hail report. 12 miles south of Belfield, there was 1 inch reported hail. And then we made the top of the list for winds where gusts of 89 miles per hour in the Dickinson Airport. And any questions for me, I'll take.
I'm not making fun of this, but they were talking about gorilla size hail.
Yeah.
What is that?
Gorilla size is 2 inch or bigger.
That's what I thought, yeah.
From what I've heard, gorilla size obviously isn't an official term. That was, I think, coined by a storm chaser. So.
I would, that was a great effort as far as establishing those shelters for people, or I guess maybe shelters isn't the right term. You were saying something about that, but getting information out to the public.
Yep.
And we even had the opportunity to utilize our new website to put some information on that, which was great. Good.
Yep, yeah, we wanted to establish those community gathering locations. I'm not comfortable yet designating something as shelter. FEMA kind of likes to come in and approve them. Yeah, they have to be able to withstand 235 miles per hour winds to really be designated a shelter. But I think what we determined in some of our meetings was if we can give anyone a location that they can go and feel a little safer, that'd be something that we just wanted to do for people, you know. So we did open those locations, and I'm very thankful for the people that opened their doors and allowed pets in. Pets are always kind of the hardest when I talk to people about shelter locations and I ask about pets. That's when people really hesitate, and I fear that they're going to kind of change their mind. So I always have to reassure people that you don't have to let pets in, you know, it's okay. So
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the dispatch joint powers agreement.
So as of right now, so we collect the 911 revenue for the county, and then I distribute that money back into dispatch. We've always had just a kind of a verbal agreement with our dispatch center. I think it started in the 80s. Does that sound right? Yeah. So coming into this kind of new year, we wanted to get stuff in writing so that we could really just have it put down on paper what we do and what we've agreed upon. So myself and Lieutenant Handel, he's here. We kind of back and forth a little bit, worked on this agreement, and what we have for you guys now is our final, what we came to is a final agreement. I've sent it off to State's Attorney Eggleston. She approved it, and now I'm just looking for your guys' approval of it as well.
So what made you guys decide on the 80-20 split?
For those like unanticipated costs?
Yeah, over $10,000.
That was just, I thought was a kind of a fair amount in my opinion.
80% on our end?
Yep. Kind of keep majority on our end and just a little bit of a contribution from them just to not drain my funds.
Like 70-30, but 80% works, I guess.
Can you highlight this this newly formed Public Safety Advisory Committee?
Yeah, so the Public Safety Advisory Committee was something I was looking for. The dispatch center dispatches for city PD, city fire, ambulance, the sheriffs, and then all the county fire departments. They dispatch for the Belfield ambulance, the Richardson ambulance. So they dispatch for a lot of different entities in the county. And I wanted an opportunity for everyone to have a chance to be at the table and have discussions on how things were working on dispatch and maybe things that these groups would like to see and be able to kind of collaborate together and work for making a dispatch center that works for everybody.
So have there been issues in the past where things haven't been working?
I wouldn't say that I haven't been working, but I think some people feel like their voices aren't heard. So I just wanted to make sure that they were able to be there and make sure that their voices were heard and acknowledged. And
But the Dickinson Public Safety Support Specialist doesn't have is under no obligation to listen to that committee, right?
I mean, I think she would be. These are recommendations that are brought forward to her of what they want to see.
Well, I
But
think
you still
thus
have
far, I mean, there really hasn't been an opportunity for input. You know,
That's
so
a bigger part of it.
Yeah, we just want some input from all entities here, and ultimately, I don't think there's any really dissatisfaction with the current service. This is just an opportunity to possibly enhance the service going forward. The more communication, the better from
that's
all
good.
the stakeholders.
It always is. Communication is.
Yeah.
Pardon, Amanda?
And formalize the process.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
You looking for a motion then to sign that?
The signature, yes, to sign the joint powers agreement.
So I'd make that motion for Chairman Franchek to sign the joint powers agreement between the city and the county effective today.
I would second that.
Motion and second.
So technically, it's a 4.5-year term, not 5 as per the agreement, but right, so we're all on the same page. It expires, potentially expires December 31st of 2028.
Yep.
Okay, motion is second. Roll call, Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Was our newest agreement the one from 1995 in the JOR?
I thought it was from like the 80s.
Or 1995?
Okay, 1995.
Right, well, it's on your JPA, so I was just curious.
Yeah,
Was that the
I
newest
couldn't
one?
remember the right date, but I knew it was pre-2000, so.
You weren't even born yet, probably.
When was it? 95? I was born.
Yeah, come on. We're in kindergarten.
Okay, with that, then we'll move on to the IT coordinator proposal.
So coming up into the budgeting season, I want to take this opportunity to propose a potential new position to be approved. This would be for an IT coordinator. We're looking for an IT coordinator to kind of be the backbone of our IT resources that we have in our organization. We utilize Consolidated right now as our primary IT company, and they do a good job, but they are also a business that handles a lot of other clients. So if we had a person here that could handle some of the minor stuff, that would be, I think, really essential to streamline a lot of our processes. We would still utilize Consolidated because one person can't handle a lot of a whole county's IT needs on their own. But I think some of the little stuff they would be able to manage daily. And then a lot of it would be streamlining some of our ticketing process. Instead of 6 people potentially sending a ticket to Consolidated about the same issue, they can send it to one person and that one person can kind of deal with it, or they can escalate it up to Consolidated if it's something they can't handle. As far as, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. As far as their responsibilities go, it's on the next slide. We're looking for IT infrastructure management, cybersecurity, technical support, project management, strategic planning of our resources. I've kind of outlined all those there for you guys. Some on the next slide, data management, communication and coordination, and then training and development. So the overall goal of this IT coordinator would be just to kind of really manage things on a day-to-day basis and then communicate with Consolidated for us when we have needs that exceed their capabilities. Market resource on the research on the next slide here is, this is what I found. Your average base salary is $56,803. You're going anywhere from $42,000 to $75,000 a year. And then based on experience, that's when you really see that number climb. For our IT coordinator position, I think based on just kind of the market and getting a quality person, next slide please. I think that proposal would be to start the person out at $30 an hour. It would be bring them to a wage of $62,400, benefits about $12,480, so their proposed salary would be about $74,880.
That would come off what we pay Consolidated now?
Yeah, I think we could cut our Consolidated contract in half, keep those hours. They did tell us that we can just purchase hours as well.
You've discussed this with Consolidated already?
Yeah, we brought up because we're going to be going into contract negotiations again. So we asked them to kind of bring us forth 2 contracts, one that we have where we're out now, and then another one if we bring in this IT person, what would half a contract look like with them?
And this is not an IT person, this is an IT coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making sure things are distributed, contracts are kept up, just kind of helping out with some of the small stuff. Consolidated still, if we have any other big issues, they would handle those, correct?
We really need the IT coordinator to be able to troubleshoot some of these software issues. So I can tell you our number one issue with IT in my office is software and then the servers and communication between the two. So Consolidated will reset our server and then our software won't work. And then we pay them $100 and something an hour to fix something that is caused by Consolidated doing it. And this has happened multiple times.
This would hopefully get us past this frustration. You know, we have to manage our expectations with Consolidated. I mean, I view Consolidated as, I mean, they are our gatekeeper. They protect or make sure our system, our IT structure is, our integrity is good all the time. That's what they really, really concentrate on. You know, Tyler Tech, that software, you know, all these other softwares that you use here in your office, you know, that's just not their specialty. So they have to basically relearn it and learn stuff. And so, you know, I know there's a frustration level when they don't have all the answers about that software. And hopefully we could possibly get this person to, you know, get up to speed on these softwares and
Well,
be
that
a,
would be a requirement. It wouldn't be a hopefully. That'd
yeah,
be
well,
something they'd
yeah,
have to do.
yeah, something that he could, or he or she could be well-versed in these softwares and be a go-to point for the folks here.
And I know talking to Consolidated, they told us in advance they don't really deal with third-party softwares, but they did take the time to learn Tyler Tech, which we really appreciated, but that is something they still charge us for because we were warned in advance that's not their software, so it's a third party. So it is gonna take time away from the time we have contracted. So we kind of knew, but getting an IT coordinator, they can learn that system, and when they have to reset the server and fix that issue, it should be easy. And again, with Consolidated, we're not their only clients, so sometimes their ticket time may take a little bit because they are dealing with other people, and we just have to kind of accept that because we're not just another one of their customers, but they have other people that they have to service as well. So, like Commissioner Clare said, we do have to just manage our expectations a little bit.
So so you fill this position, you reduce the outgo costs to Consolidated. I guess from the outside looking in, when I first came on the commission, we had an IT specialist with the Bismarck firm. Somebody help me out with the name. Armor. And one of the things in the original conversations was the turnover there, and I guess part of my concern is if this is a kind of a position in demand, we get them, you get them to the point where you want to be, and all of a sudden they go another direction because their expertise might lend it that way, and then you start training all over again. Just expound on that a little bit.
As far as, do I think we're going to be able to hire and keep somebody?
Well, that and the challenges that are there in that regard. I don't think it gets rid of the frustration level. I've heard the word frustration here a couple times. I don't think this gets rid of it. It hopefully minimizes it, reduces it.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's an attempt to reduce it, and then hopefully, if this person stays and continues on with us, it's almost like we're trying to build a foundation for our own kind of IT people and being self-sustaining.
I mean, just to give the commission, I know Bernie and Corey are, you know, you understand our IT committee, but here we are, you know, well, our IT committee is, I mean, Jesse and Brad probably know most about the IT stuff, but the rest of us are definitely not subject matter experts. I can just tell you that, and we're trying our very best to help guide and make some good decisions, and you know, sometimes it's even difficult to even ask the right questions of Consolidated. And it would be nice to have someone, you know, with us that could help us with this and give us some guidance and some leadership there.
And they would run the website, correct, too? 'Cause
I would think so. That'd be, yeah, obviously they could have their hands in that. You know, I look at it as an opportunity to have, currently, you know, every or employee has the opportunity, if you have a problem, you put a ticket in with Consolidated. You know, this, and from what I understand, not every ticket is critical. Okay, and you know, there's a varying degree of computer knowledge at the county, in any organization. Not everybody's an expert, so a lot of times tickets are being put in, and are they really, really high priority? And then we get some frustration that they're not being answered immediately. And I view this person as potentially a person that, or should be a person of essential contact. You know, they could manage all the service tickets and, you know, and prioritize them, and hopefully maybe possibly even pick off some of the minor stuff and not, you know, inundate Consolidated with some, you know, they have some big fish to fry over there, and sometimes rebooting a computer is not really high on the priority that day. So that could be of help. Yeah, so I really feel like it could be, I mean, we have a lot of, I mean, what do we have? We have 99 or 150 computers across the county.
I think so. Yeah, it was something like
Brad's
that.
not looking at me.
You know, we've got multiple servers, multiple computers, many users. You know,
Yeah.
organizations typically of this size have some sort of in-house IT.
So then he would be under your office and he'd have a spot at your house or what?
That's a great question.
It was a good question. I was going to propose it under the auditor's office.
Is that where you see most of the problems?
Can't have our election conference room. We already have plans for that.
Honestly, couldn't this person be a department head?
I think it's more or less.
I think they would have their own
would-
budget and everything.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Well, they would be in control, basically oversee our budget for IT.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be,
The IT committee would get to start
right,
wheeling down.
yes. I mean, it's still somebody would have their portfolio, but that, I mean, that would be,
So if they're a department, you're talking about them moving into a department head, not starting right off the bat as like a full-on department. I mean, if you want to integrate them in with the auditor's office software, by all means, they could put up a tent there and
And I think
Lana
this-
can integrate them.
This is gonna have to be a position that's being built, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be right out of the gate.
no, you're
Yeah,
right.
I think it's
You're
going to
right.
be,
So-
since it's so new, we might have to just kind of put it somewhere for now and then transition it maybe at a later time.
Then other counties have someone in this position and that's where you got the pay scale from?
I pulled the pay scale from online just for market research. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 counties that have reported an IT coordinator
North Dakota?
position. Yep.
Okay.
So,
Do you want to give them a range? Like, so that it depends on experience? Like,
Well,
The hiring of that person before you start with their hand.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah, I think we need to make sure everyone's on board with the idea of an IT
Do
person.
you have a range? Okay.
yeah, I think
I
I
mean,
sent that to you.
I
as
wouldn't have
the-
a problem with it, but I mean, it's gotta have a set, job description and responsibilities.
Well, we have.
Well, they have a
down
job
there.
That's
I know,
description
I
here.
saw it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
well, the IT coordinator in Cass County is a whole lot different than the IT coordinator in Stark County.
Absolutely.
So I would not throw them into the bucket or the pool of comparable compensation. But if you want to talk about the position, I'm all forward, moving forward and then we figure out the other stuff.
The one thing I would say, you know, I know on the compensation level, you know, we're obviously a much different animal than Cass County, but you would be surprised, Cass County probably pays a lot less than what Kenzie County's paying or Williams County. They're crazy about it. But that said, it doesn't really matter the size of your county. Each county is facing the exact same obstacles and threats.
When it's not just software, I mean, we have servers that need to be upgraded every 3 to 5 years. Just protection of our information.
gonna say, the
It takes
invasion of- yep.
one attack on us to shut us down would pay for that guy's, or that individual's salary for the year.
And Consolidate probably would never go away. I mean, they have some
Correct.
really,
Yeah.
really great
Everything they
hands
can.
there as when it comes to cybersecurity. But this person could work in conjunction with them.
And now is the time to discuss it as we're going into budgeting and if they're gonna be talking about contracts.
But I mean, let's not mislead ourselves. A IT coordinator is not gonna immune us
Right.
from exterior attacks.
No.
That's.
No, I
That's
think
gonna
it
still be-
takes,
I think
a
that's still
lot.
gonna be Consolidated's job at that point.
And we still have redundancies in place that monitor our systems, and Consolidated is there as well. But this would be a point of contact, somebody that all the information is flowing into and all the information is flowing out. He'd be kind of our SME, our subject matter expert for the county, instead of just having your IT board, things coming in them. There's definitely attacks that are constantly happening on servers that nobody knows about. Consolidated sits there and says, you know, they blocked this many attacks from coming in on a daily basis and, you know, you don't, the stuff that happens on the back end, and to make sure that your software is up to date with the correct version. You know, if you're running an old version and it's running fine for you, it's still open to issues.
So just to give a little bit of idea, so we do have a contract with Consolidated. You know, I view this person would be, you know, here Monday through Friday, you know, during business hours, and he could service this building, the law enforcement center, we've got the county shop, we've got a shop in Belfield, we've got a shop in Richardson. And currently, we use, let's say we have a new computer install, okay?
That's his
We're
job.
using, yeah, that would be his job or their job. Versus us using hours on our contract with Consolidated. So we are under contract with them, and we are only allotted so many hours. Anything over that hour, those hours that we're allotted, we get you know, that's outside contract, and we get charged a, you know, pretty decent rate. And I'm not saying it's not fair, but it's, you know, so we could continue to save those hours and put them towards important security things and big events, and we, you know, and this person could be handling those day-to-day tasks.
I think part of his salary would, whatever we start him at, once he learns our third-party vendor programs, that's when he becomes valuable to us, and that's when we would look at whatever time frame we set him up to learn this stuff, and then we would possibly give him a pay increase that would be beneficial to his knowledge.
And I think the idea would be to grow this person to a director type designation, right? But he'd have to get through that type of, he'd have to meet some measurables for us to do that.
Absolutely, there's gotta be.
Yeah.
Just, yep. Maybe a little, I haven't read it yet.
I
but
have
think-
polled a few county employees, and I think that would be some buy-in from them on this. There seems to be a need. And I mean, IT is extremely frustrating. Everybody expects to turn the computer on, and it's supposed to work every time, and it really gets, and when they're not working and they're down, it, you know, obviously reduces our productivity. So everyone always wants to see it good.
I guess I would be in favor of following through with this research, and I guess, like I said, I haven't read this, so I'm gonna have to study it and.
When are you thinking of filling the position if it were approved? Soon, or?
Yeah, sooner
or
than
fully
later,
in
especially as we go
2025?
into contract negotiations with Consolidated. I would think that person should be there, maybe. They're a little bit, we're looking for that subject matter expertise. I know. Might not be possible, but it would be nice for sure.
So if we were to actually find someone, or we actually get an applicant, which that hasn't happened yet, and we, you know, we hope that with that amount of money that we can interest someone in applying, we would have to fund the remainder of 24 out of the general fund, I guess, right?
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
general fund, that's where IT is anyways.
When is the contract deadline with Consolidated? Is that?
It's Jan 1.
Jan 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a couple of months, I guess.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, look for a motion.
Well, you two are the IT guys, you gotta make your own motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to post a job opportunity for Stark County for a IT coordinator.
Are you gonna put a dollar amount in that motion?
No, I think we need to go with this route
Range.
first, apparently, whether we're, yeah, and then we can set the salary, so.
And I would second that job description posted.
Okay, the motion is second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Anything else?
I think one thing we ran into it with a while back with the HR position. I think you guys need to decide whether this is going to be a director position right off the bat, or if it's going to be under the umbrella of someone. I don't want to get into that kind of issue again. I know there's people on this board that remember that hiring process, so I think that's important.
This call has 5 minutes left until its maximum duration is reached.
I haven't heard that before.
That's my IT department.
So I would make the motion, this is a coordinator position. I would make the motion for the first initial start out of the gate that it would report to, I suppose the IT board for the first 12 months.
I'd second that.
Is that kosher?
Yeah, I just have more questions when you're done.
Motion and a second.
I'll second that.
You seconded
We got
my
a
sec-
second.
you
Oh, you
seconding
got a
my
second.
second, or are you
Okay.
getting an up,
No,
giddy up,
no.
or whatever we're doing here?
Okay, any other discussion? You have something?
When you're done with this one, I'll ask.
Okay.
Okay. That's
All in
it.
favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Was opposed? Motion carried.
The other thing that I remember quite clearly was that the hiring process became kind of a mess. So are you planning on just putting it out and having applicants and then deciding how you're going to do this hiring process? Or are you going to form a committee now, a hiring committee that brings back recommendations to the board? How many applicants?
Well-
There's discussions to be had.
Final
Yeah, we
Finalists.
just go through the process of when we hired our emergency manager. Joetta took in the applications, scored them. She brought Bernie and I, we scored them, and we came up with, you know, we brought in for interview, the folks that scored the highest.
Top three for the interviews, yeah.
Yeah, and then we did the interviews, and I think if we followed that same process, I mean, I think it'd be just fine.
I just want to make sure it's really clear.
Yeah, and we did the same department process out at the highway department as well, road department.
So we should
Well,
work
but a
with
department
HR.
head is different.
I know, but he brought the stuff in, brought us in together. There was a grading score. It seemed like it was in line with what you were talking about.
So the two individuals on the IT committee, then you'll be the people that score and interview and then bring your recommendation to the full board? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. I think you should make a motion on that then too.
I move that the two members of the IT committee put together the interview and the questions and bring the recommendation as far as who to hire to us.
I'd second that.
Okay.
So under discussion on that, we can avoid the process of naming finalists. I know that was part of the HR deal, was naming finalists.
Was there a runner-up?
No, it was just, it was a.
Joetta can help.
Okay, I don't
It was an
understand.
issue.
We actually have a formal hiring process, and so typically, when you have your candidates and you score them out, then your hiring, I call my interviewing committee, chooses the top 3 candidates they'd like to interview. In some cases, maybe you have more than that, but whoever you designate as your finalists are your finalists, and then their records would be open, but none of the other applicants.
Okay.
But you have to designate them, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that we were clear because
Yep,
there's been questions about it in the past.
good job.
Okay, next we go to the weed board application approvals. Travis, are you on any of that?
Good, almost afternoon,
right.
Chairman Franchek and Commissioners. You guys have the copies of the applicants for the open positions for District 1 and 3?
Right. There's one that wants to be, that's currently on, doesn't want to be reappointed, and the one that wants to stay on, right?
Correct, yes. In District 1, Les Simnianu no longer wants to be reappointed. In District 3, Mac Herner would like to be reappointed.
And then we've had applications, we've had one application for District 1, right?
As far as I was aware, I guess there was
Yeah,
one for
just
District
the one, right, and that was,
Officially hit the 4-hour mark.
Where this comes from.
that's the one that's already on that wants reappointed.
No, that's Matt Turner. That's Matt Kerner.
Please enter your password or moderator
that's the-
access
that's the
code
vector
followed by
board.
the pound sign.
Okay, gotcha. So are you looking for a motion, Travis, to get this rolling?
The conference is currently
I would make
empty.
the motion
You will hear
to,
silence or music on
reappoint
hold
Matt
when
Kerner.
connected.
I'd second that.
Was that recorded? Was that thing? Yeah.
It's
That's
recorded.
just for that,
Just
okay,
the-
okay.
And that's a 4-year term, correct? I believe so,
I think so.
yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I made the motion.
You had a motion and a second.
Okay, a motion second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
And Caden Tui, he has applied for District
District 3.
1. District
Or
3.
District 1, was
Yes.
Kate, sorry, yes.
I would also make a motion to appoint Caden Tui as our District 1 representative on the weed board.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay.
Thank you. And then while I'm here, I figured
Okay.
I should give you a quick update from the Weed Control Department. This summer, we're operating 3 side-by-sides and 2 boom trucks, one of which is new to replace the 2024 Chevy boom truck. Weather has slowed the progress of right-of-way spraying down quite a bit this year, but we're roughly 1/3 of the way complete. Our cost share program has been successful. We added 2 new chemistries to the program to help aid landowners with difficult and specific weed problems. So far, we have had 160 landowners that have signed up for the program, and we've done $153,934 worth of chemical sales, of which the county has picked up the tab for 107,750 of that, which is a substantial savings to landowners. We have resumed our trash pickup program, cleaning county right-of-ways as we scout for weeds. And before I go here, lastly, I guess I want to just say, next Monday, the 8th of July, we will be hosting our leafy spurge flea beetle collection south of Gladstone. Landowners interested in attending will be able to participate in this working field day to collect beetles to distribute biocontrol agents onto their leafy spurge. We plan on starting around 10 o'clock a.m. We would ask that the landowners that want to participate bring their beetle net if they have one, a cooler with blue ice to keep the beetles cool during transportation, and we will once again be running it as a Keep What You Sweep program so that all landowners participating will be able to take the beetles that they collect home.
Same location as last.
Same location as last
Paul,
year. Yeah.
is this where you're gonna be at 9:30 with your beetle
Well,
nets?
no, I have actually, I have a jail board meeting then, but I'm gonna go out and sweep beetles too, so.
What do you do with the beetles?
Beat 'em to your chicken.
Can you explain what you do with the beetles?
So the leafy spurge flea beetles are a biocontrol agent for leafy spurge. In order for them to be considered a biocontrol agent when they're brought in from the country, because leafy spurge is not native to North America, it's from Europe. When the beetles were brought in, they have to demonstrate that they will only feed on that host plant, so they're host specific, right? Okay, once that process was gone through by the USDA back in the early 90s, then flea beetles were approved for the use for biocontrol of leafy spurge, and they were distributed throughout the nation, really. And I guess as a side note, in the early days, they were sold for $1 a beetle, and we'd collect around 500,000 beetles every time. So it was a big money thing. Now they're free, and they can be very successful and useful in certain situations.
Sell them per beetle?
There are still places that do sell them, but we don't do that here, Karen.
Just trying to help out the budget.
Is there any, can you give us a little bit of info on some new strains of weeds that are out there that are in the county and so on and so forth?
So a couple of years ago, we identified Palmer amaranth in Stark County. That was along the Highway 22 construction project. There were 2 specimens within the county and one just on the other side of the county line there into Hettinger County. Those plants were individual plants, and they were removed mechanically and burned as you'd have it. We have been inspecting that corridor since, have not found any additional specimens, but we did have a
inquiry from actually an employee of the road department about some potential plants out at the racetrack. So I had a crew out there this morning looking to see if those were Palmer plants. I have not heard back from them yet.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Next, you have a Vector Board appointment, and there was 2 applicants, but I attended their meeting last week, and the one decided to pull their application, so there's just the one. It would be Renee Simiano, and I guess she served for a short time prior to this, but they recommended we approve her for the Vector Control Board. So I'd look for a motion for that.
I make a motion that we appoint Renee Simiano to the Vector Control Board.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, we'll go into the county policies. HR Piercy.
Hello, Joetta Piercy, Human Resources Director. The 2 policies that I'm bringing forward is just an update. So we have consistent language for the definition of immediate family. So I made the definition the same for both the bereavement leave and the sick leave policies. The only other change in the bereavement leave was just designate that they can use it in hours. They don't have to use it in days too. So you can use up to 24 hours or 3 8-hour days, or up to 8 hours or 1 8-hour day. So that was bereavement leave. Sick leave, the only other change besides the definition was to just indicate that, sick leave can be used for regularly scheduled appointments as long as you get permission from your supervisor to leave work. And the other change was to make sure people know that they can, if they are on workers' compensation or indemnity payments, they can get their whole salary with sick leave pay too. So together, it would be their regularly salaried amount, but not over their normal earnings.
One thing that I would suggest, and I'm sorry I wasn't at the department head meeting, I had something else I had to be at, but under the definitions, you have a person whose relationship is considered that of a significant other. I would suggest that you define significant other so that it's very clear. I know we all know what it is, but you don't know when you're going to run into a situation where someone's going to claim it's their significant other, and maybe the commission has a different idea. Correct. So if you have a definition of what the commission believes is a significant other, you're going to perhaps save yourself some issues down the road.
Do you want me to come up with that or bring it back? Or do you have a definition you would
I'm
like?
not touching that one.
Yeah. I don't know. It might
I
be
think the
hard.
reason why it was significant other is because you're trying to, you don't know what else to put there. Okay, Amanda, it's your recommendation. Let's hear this.
I don't know.
Find a definition online and cite it.
Of significant other?
Correct, but you want to have it defined.
And I guess we'll have that for our next meeting, and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the FMLA poster have any definition on it, or?
I know, I think the federal guidelines use partner.
Okay.
I know that they use significant other, there might be some guidance there, maybe you want to look at something like that, but I just think it's important to define it. I mean, if it becomes an issue, you're gonna want to be able to point to it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have 2024 primary election costs approval.
Okay. So I always leave all my exciting stuff to the end. Okay, so I'm just, this is the wages and the mileage for our 2024 primary election. This also includes the recount, wages and mileage. So I'm looking, it's customary for the board to approve my 2024 primary election wages and mileage at a total of $14,796.54 will be paid out.
And
I'll look for a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the 14,796.54 wages and mileage.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Roll call vote, Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Masser.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next, we have the beer and liquor permits. We have two of them.
Yep, we have, both of them are, well, we have Final is looking for approval to serve at the fairgrounds. And they've done some other ones already, but this is for the August 2nd and 3rd event. So I'm looking for approval for that one.
Do they pay the fee per day, or is that for the,
Per event. So if the
That's two.
event is 2 days, so let's say that's 2 days right here, and then they also added on the next weekend on a Friday, then they would pay $50. So we've been doing it per event. Sometimes they put multiple, like if they're doing multiple events, then it's multiple weekends, and then we charge them
$25 per event.
per event, yeah.
That's what it costs me, $200.
So this PBR, that 2 and 3rd, that's one event, correct? August 2nd and 3rd?
Yes, it's on the 2nd and the 3rd.
I'll
One
make the
event.
motion to approve Finals, a license for August 2nd and 3rd at the bull riding PBR event.
do you have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Second one is for Rusty Rail Saloon for the SBMC Rally Anniversary Party.
Where's the Rusty Rail Saloon at?
Belfield.
Norris Marks.
Okay. I gotta get out more.
I was gonna say, you gotta go farther west.
I can't get past Burley's apparently.
Well, it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Walking
Yeah.
distance.
Or go to the back door,
Okay.
to the other back door.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve that special permit.
I'll move the approval of Rusty Rail for the July 27th event at the fairgrounds.
Second that.
Motion is second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, and then last on their agenda is a pledge of assets.
Okay, so as you notice, our Bravera pledging has gone way down because we're in sweep fund accounts, right? And so I just look for the commission to approve the pledge securities for Bravera. You can just do the 5 million par value is fine. And that's as of June 30th. And then the pledge of securities for Dakota Community Bank, which is at a par value, well, total pledged deposits, total pledge 3,925,000.
Separately, jointly,
You can do them in one if you want.
I would move we accept the pledge security pronouncements from Bravera Bank and Dakota Community Bank in the amounts of 5 million from Bravera and 3.91403,
Oh, it's 3.925.
3.925 from Dakota Community Bank. I see
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconds, roll call then. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Anything else we missed?
I think at some point in the future, that we'll want to take a position on the property tax measure. We don't have to do it today, we have plenty of time. But there will be an effort to get local political subs to take a position on that, so.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's great. We're gonna have to do that.
Just to follow up before we end, you know, we had this discussion about that, those small cities and forming a committee and whatnot, and we just went on to
Yeah.
the next deal. To move that forward, what do we need to do here?
Let's put a group together. I'll serve on that one.
I would as well.
Gonna have to be part of the, I'm guessing, the budgeting process if we're having a separate fund and
Well, but
stuff.
I think what we could do, Karen, is set up the parameters under which a municipality or any other group might be eligible. And if there's no money in it, then there's still a parameter and some rules and, to do that. So I would, certainly want you to be part of that conversation. So if we can set something up with, you and then bring a recommendation to the board, that'd be fine, full board. Okay.
Okay.
We'll do it right after we pick up flea beetles.
Yes.
Okay. You wanna make a motion on that, or?
Sure, I'll move that we form a committee, subcommittee, to bring a recommendation to the full commission on, grants and awards to small communities, for public improvements.
I would second that.
And that, part of that committee is,
Yeah, so I'll volunteer and Paul, I guess, will
and
do
then
it.
the auditor.
And the
Karen.
auditor, yep.
Okay. Motion and a second, then all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Anything else? Now I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion to a second.
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.